Do we think we can relate the Supreme Court Grants Pass ruling on homeless encampments with my personal history and tie it into my stance on homelessness as a political candidate? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective. Thank you for watching. My name is Jeff Pettis, and I hope everybody is having a good almost 4th of July week, America, and keeping cool. So tonight we're going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling. It was one of a number that came down. For those of you that do not know, briefly, it's a court decision that was called the Grants Pass decision, because Grants Pass is a city in Oregon. And the ruling, what it did is it reversed a previous case out of the San Francisco Appeals Court that had decided, I think this was in 2018, they had made the decision that banning homeless encampments was a violation of the Eighth Amendment of cruel and unusual punishment. And this overturns that. And really, just briefly, it was a 6-3 decision, and it was along party lines. But what the ruling does is it says that states, cities, municipalities are now able to enforce anti-camping laws related to homelessness in cities. And really, what it doesn't do is it's not saying it's illegal to be homeless. What it's saying is that it is enforceable, that you can a city can enforce anti-camping in the sense that you can't have tents, tarps, encampments in public areas, parks, anywhere public, and that is enforceable by a fine. And there are those in the city that say that it doesn't really matter because we currently can do that now. That's true, and where that comes from is, I don't know, a lot of you remember the Santa Ana River case that came out from the homeless encampments there. The final ruling on that was you can enforce, as a city, you can enforce anti-camping laws as long as there's a bed available for them in a shelter. Then you can enforce anti-camping. This ruling takes away the requirement that there has to be a bed available. So there is a difference between the two. So now our policemen can enforce anti-camping with no restrictions under this new precedent. So it's story time, and I'm going to see if I can relate I'm going to see if you guys can relate based on my own personal history. I'm gonna use my story here as a way to illustrate what I mean when I'm on the campaign trail and I talk about there's a way to address homelessness from an empathetic solutions approach, while also insisting that the citizens of the city have a right to live in a safe place, enjoy the parks without encampments. You can do both. So as many of you know, and some of you know, and maybe some of you don't know, that I personally have my own history. I think that, to start off, to back up real quick, I think that most homelessness you can trace back to substance abuse and, yes, mental health. Oftentimes when you remove the substance abuse, mental health gets infinitely better. So I think a large majority of our homeless population suffers from substance abuse and also comorbid mental health disorders. And that's the area that needs to be addressed first. So myself, I've been sober going on 20 years now, and I've had two sets of sobriety in my life. This one's the last 20 years, and as a youngster, I had a period of, I think, 7 years sober. I was young, got it out of my system, then I did it again. I've been sober 20 years. So back in I think it was 95. I won't go into all the sort of details, but I was at a point in my life where I had family that wouldn't speak to me. I had no friends that would speak to me. I was living couch to couch, basically homeless, but not on the streets, but almost just prior to being on the streets. And I was addicted to substances and alcohol, and came one faithful evening when I was out acting a fool and wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing anything felonious, but I was actually picked up by the police and taken to the city jail. And when I finally was let out, I tried to call all my friends. I tried to call my family, and nobody had been. I had been disowned by everybody that mattered to me, and I had nothing. In fact, I think the drug dealer people had stole my clothes even. Like, I asked somebody to go, hey, you guys go do my laundry. Some couple of girls, like an idiot. I had a lot of clothes at the time. Those were all gone. So I went to city jail overnight. And when I got out, for some reason in the middle of the night, my mother decided to answer. And I said, hey, I got nowhere to go. I'm in a bad way. Can you please? She had already long said, look, unless you don't call, don't come, no money, no nothing, unless you're ready to get some help. So I said yes at the time, thinking, I have no plans of getting cleaned up, no plans on getting straightened out, but I needed a place to go. So she picked me up. I think it was on the PCH, the old, what was it, Holiday House Liquor. There was the big barrel on top of the store. Anyway, that's where I was. She picked me up. I woke up the next morning in her house, and I had family there, and said, look, you need to go get treatment. You need to go get it now. I said, oh, I'll go in a couple of weeks. What about my car? What about this? And no, you need to go now. So I reluctantly agreed to go, and I did not want to go. I did not feel I was ready, but I had no other choice. And that led to a wonderful experience in treatment. It didn't happen right away. It took a period of weeks and months for me to slowly, stayed put long enough, had enough therapy and enough people that kind of loved me back to health that I decided on my own over a period of months that I was ready to be a sober person. And so my point for that story is that you do not have to be at a bottom. You don't have to want to need to get off the streets or get sober or get help. You don't have to, there's always another bottom. So I put that aside. This bottom thing, I don't know where that came from, but you have to need it, meaning you physically need it, and you don't even have to know you need it, but you have to need it. So you can be compelled, as I was compelled. No, I didn't have to do it, but I was virtually compelled to get help. You have to need it. And once a person can get into a therapeutic environment or have access to quality professional care, lives can change and dramatically, and it could be related to the current homelessness we have in our city. You know that California has 1/3 of the United States homeless population. And there's many people that say it's, leave them be. They don't have anywhere to go. You know what? It's not moral to assume that people are just okay to be homeless. I don't believe that. I don't believe that these people are living their best life. I believe that there's a large population of them that even if compelled, their lives can change with the proper approach, therapy, case management, as I say a lot on the campaign trail, if you will, focused long-term attention. That's the empathetic approach. Now, if you have the enforcement piece, which I take the police in our city is similar to when I was compelled to go into treatment and didn't think I needed it. The police can work, and some of our case managers in the homeless programs we have now, I know that there's currently underway in our city. They are making some strides in getting in place. I know Motel 6, that's a whole different story, but we have some airway shelter beds that I think are going to be allocated for mental health. So if we put resources towards getting these people off the street, compelling them to get off the street, and getting them into a therapeutic environment and having the right people and the right professionals attending to their care, these folks can get off the street and get going with life and be productive members of society. Now, I know there's there is a contingent out there, or a percentage of the homeless population that is treatment resistant. I know that to be true in homelessness. I know it to be true when I worked in the drug and alcohol field years ago. I know it to be true currently in my work at the VA. There are people that are resistant to treatment, and those are the people that should not be permitted to use our parks, use our streets as a bathroom, as a sleeping area. Our citizens have a right to feel safe and to be in a clean city. And the folks that are resistant to treatment, resistant to any help at all, need to be compelled to vacate. And if that means fines, or that means forcibly removing them, so be it. But I believe the empathetic side, we can address a large number of these people in the right way. And that is how I relate my story to the Grants Pass SCOTUS decision as it relates to homelessness and what I talk about. And I will be talking more about this in the future. Thought it was worth talking about tonight. Be kind to yourself. Be good to each other. Together we can get it done. Bye for now.